Okay, everything you need to know about To Kill a Mockingbird, Chapter 25. So now that you're done with Chapter 25, let's go through it. The chapter picks up shortly after the last one, now in September. The weather had not gotten cooler, so Jem and Scout were sleeping on the back screened-in porch. They would not have had air conditioning during this time period, so Jem and Scout were probably trying to escape the heat of the house until autumn came and there was cooler weather. Now when she was putting her book down and about to turn out her light, Scout saw a roly-poly or a pill bug had gotten in. So she first plays with it, making it roll up a couple times by touching it. But when she got bored of that, she was going to squish it. But Jem stopped her and made her take it outside. She asked if he was crazy caring about a bug. She knew he wasn't mean to animals, but didn't know why he'd care about an insect. Well, when she asks why she couldn't crush the bug, he tells her because they don't cause any harm. They both have their reading lights out, so they're laying there in darkness. She tries to tease him, saying he was going to stick up for mosquitoes next, but if she had a bug biting her, she was going to scratch it. Scout thinks to herself that Jem is the one becoming more like a girl, not her. Laying there trying to sleep, she starts thinking about Dill. He had left the 1st of September, and when they had gone down with him and his aunt to the train station to see him off. He had promised that he'd be back at the beginning of summer, as his parents had finally figured out that he really liked to spend summer in Maycomb. Now, remembering that Jem had taught him to swim at the very end of summer, she also suddenly remembers something that Jem had told her. On his way to see Tom's wife with Calpurnia, Atticus had seen Jem and Dill coming back from the swimming hole, and they waved him down. Although Atticus had told them to catch a ride because he'd be gone a while, Jem begged that they could go with him and catch the ride home. So on the way, Atticus had filled them in on what had happened with Tom. Now while Jem and Dill wait in the car, Atticus and Calpurnia go up the steps to Helen's cabin. A crowd of kids was playing marbles, so Atticus asks Tom's son Sam if he could see his mother. Sam has to go down the street to get her from a friend's house. And when they get back, Helen asks Atticus to come have a seat, but then neither says anything after that. They just look at each other. And Dill says that she just collapsed to the ground like a giant had stepped on her, like a person would step on an ant. Atticus and Calpurnia had carried her in, and after a while Atticus came out by himself, and they drove home. On the way past the Ewell house, the Ewells yelled at them and hollered. Scout details that the town was interested in Tom's death for a couple days, but many whites just wrote it off in a belittling, insulting way, that it was just typical for Tom to run without any thought. They just kind of assigned that to all black people. Now, people then kind of dropped it until the following Thursday when Mr. Underwood published an editorial in the Maycomb paper that ripped into people, simply stating that it was a sin to kill people who were crippled, for whatever reasons, even escaping. He claimed that it was like hunters and kids shooting and killing songbirds. It was senseless slaughter. Now at first, Scout is puzzled because in her mind she thought Tom had been given a trial. But then she gets it, that Atticus had tried to free Tom, but he was already a dead man as soon as Mayella had opened her mouth and accused him. Scout was still worried about Bob Ewell. She and Jem had heard from Miss Stephanie that when Bob Ewell had heard about Tom being shot, he had said 1 down and about 2 to go. Jem told Scout that Ewell was full of hot air and not to worry about it, and she better not tell Atticus that they had heard this so that he wouldn't worry about them. So what do we take from this chapter? It's pretty short, but we get some gaps filled in from when Atticus and Calpurnia left to tell Helen about her husband's death since Scout didn't go with them. She stayed at the afternoon tea. The story Dill told Scout shows us that Mayella's false accusation against Tom didn't just affect him. He had a wife and family that were now without him, without a husband and without a father, without the means to survive. We can also understand why Jem stopped Scout from crushing the bug. The action was a reminder to him of what it looked like when Helen had collapsed out of grief when Atticus and Calpurnia had come to give her the news about her husband. We continue to see the lack of compassion and understanding on the part of many white citizens when they just callously write off Tom's attempted escape and death. They forgot that he was an innocent. They forgot that he had been taken from his family, they forgot that he would be in despair, imprisoned unfairly, and potentially facing the electric chair. However, we also see that some people are still trying to stand up for what is right and are not content to just let things go. Mr. Underwood's article is his way of reminding people of the injustice that had occurred that had now ended with Tom's senseless death. There might have been a little connection to the title of the book here as well if you didn't miss it. Lastly, we see that Bob Ewell has not forgotten Atticus when he states that Tom's death was a start, but there were a couple more that still needed payback. Any questions, you can put them down in the box below.